In today's video, we're going to take a Guillows model airplane kit and discuss how to convert this kit to a radio-controlled model airplane. Stay tuned. The Guillow model airplane company has been producing these model kits since the late 1920s. The boxes are typical, there's great artwork on the outside, and they have a wide range of kits: scale aircraft, free flight aircraft, even complicated airplanes like B-25 and B-17s. The kits are complete. They have all the wood in there, a good set of plans. Kind of the genius behind the Guillows kits is that they all use the same methods of construction. With the fuselage, half the fuselage was built directly over the plans with the fuselage formers and stringers. The two halves are put together. The wings were built directly over the plan with ribs and stringers. If you could build one Guillows kit, you could build any kit. It was the same methodology. The problem with the Guillows kits it was die-cut balsa, which was the technology of the day to cut out the balsa, but the balsa wood was heavy. You could follow all the instructions, build the kit per the letter of the plans. The finished airplane would just come out heavy. Even covered with lightweight tissue, it was a heavy model. For rubber band powered free flight, they just didn't fly all that well. Some exceptions were airplanes like this Arrow, which was designed as a contest free flight design with a little bit greater wingspan, 28, but a scale model of a World War I fighter or a Mustang, it just wasn't going to fly well. Sometimes you could put in a small gas engine for U-control flight. There were drawings for single channel radio control flight, but that was just hard to do with the technology of the days. Modelers always wanted to take these Guillows airplanes and convert them to radio control flight, but you needed small, lightweight equipment. That just wasn't possible until about 2010. Horizon Hobby and ParkZone models came out with a new line of foam, ultra small indoor models that used a very lightweight radio control system. These models were typically under 3 ounces, and all of a sudden you had a viable radio control system that was ideal to be adapted to Guillows radio control conversion efforts with their various kits. So let's take a look at this ultra micro radio control equipment from ParkZone. This is the entire assembly right here. You have a geared electric motor to the propeller. It plugs into what I call the brick. This brick, you can see some of the electronics on the bottom, is everything. You have the receiver, the electronic speed control, 2 linear servos for rudder and elevator. There's even plugs right here for a separate servo, which is a linear servo for ailerons on either side, and then a 150 milliamp rechargeable LiPo battery. This entire setup here, the motor, receiver, battery, is ½ an ounce. So let's go ahead. We have our transmitter turned on. All we do is plug in the battery. We have our light steady there, and watch. Up elevator, down elevator, left, right, and we'll hold the engine. There's a motor right there. Again, a self-contained radio control set available at Horizon Hobby. I think it's under $60. Everything you need for electric powered Guillows radio control model. The Guillows company does have a very nice website. We can order all their stuff. It's at guillow.com. There's no S, just Guillow.com. Let's take a look at that website now. Here's the Guillow website. It's well laid out with the shopping by category. We'll take a look at the model kits right now. See a World War I, World War II models, just break it out by category. These are the simple build by number kits. These would make ideal conversions for radio control flight. The Lancer was the one that will fly later on in this video. It just flies just great. Continuing on to the private planes, I think many of these make suitable candidates. Always had my eye on the Aranca Champion. I think everything looks just about right for a successful model with that. And circling back to the light, great flying kits, the Arrow will be the next project for RC conversion on my building table. Guillows also has a very nice catalog that came with the Arrow kit. Let's take just a quick look at their catalog. You can see very nice pictures of the airplanes. They have World War I, civilian-powered aircraft, a very nice World War II. Again, these are beautiful models. This is probably a static display or control line, not going to be a great free flight model. Things like the private aircraft are probably going to be better candidates for RC flight. You can try the World War I, but again, they're going to be pretty high performance models. As a general rule that I use with these conversions, the model's going to fly sort of like what the full-scale airplane flew like. World War I fighter is going to have fighter-like characteristics. A Piper Cub will probably be a little bit more gentle aircraft, probably a better candidate for RC conversion. Okay, so let's take a moment to unbox the Guillows model of the Arrow. This will be my next project for a radar control flight. What I do is I look at the kit right here. The wingspan is 28 inches, which is a lot. It's got a very long nose moment, so it'll be very easy to balance for the model. Tail is normal, little cockpit there, which will be fun. The landing gear, I'm going to leave off of this model, save a little bit of weight. I think it'll look good without the landing gear. Very important thing about these newer kits from Guillows. Note this is laser cut. As I mentioned, the original models were die cut, very rough cut. The wood is a lot better, and the laser cutting makes all the difference for these models. So here is the box right here, a set of decals, which is fine. A very good set of plans. We'll take a more detailed look at these later. This is really everything needed to construct and modify the kits. Again, a more detailed look later on the plans. On the box, they've even included the music wire for the landing gear, a very nice propeller for rubber band powered flight, the rubber bands, wooden wheels if you wish to use these, even clay for balancing the free flight model, and the plastic. Notice that you have a pilot, a spinner, a radiator. Spinner might be useful for electric power. We can make that out of balsa. The pilot is a joke. I'm not even going to bother with that. I'll make that the louvers out of balsa wood. But what is nice for the Guillows models is you might have a more complex cowling for a fighter or something like that. Those are useful. Also, the clear canopies for for aircraft that have canopies are very nice. And again, you can see the balsa wood here, the stringers. You even have the tissue paper here with two colors. And you can see the balsas in a plastic bag, very nicely cut and marked. So that's the look inside the Arrow kit box. And that's typical for all the Guillows airplanes. A lot of what you need is in the kit box. Okay, so now we're going to take just a little look at the plans for the Arrow, which will be my next conversion here. Again, the plans are really amazing. They honestly have step-by-step instructions on what to do. Full-size plans for the wing, for the stabilizer, a picture of what everything looks like, a good description of how to do straight edges and everything, and the building just starts with A, B, C, and just explains to you step-by-step with isometric drawings how to do everything. Again, you will not see these plans drawn anywhere. These are drawn by hand, obviously, but it's to instruct generations in the past literally how to build these models. Continues on to the side. You can see the full-size side view of this with the landing gear, the propeller. Again, completely detailed instructions, tissue covering, assembly, the completed model, balancing the model. If you follow everything here, you should meet with success. I think this will make a fine conversion. They even have conversion to gas engines with a Cox 020 Pee-wee engine. Nobody does that today. But before practical electrical flight, that's all you had. So a very good set of plans for this model. So here is the Guillow Lancer that has the ParkZone equipment in it. We'll do a pre-flight of this later. This is my own design of a 1911 Fokker spin training aircraft. This is about the heaviest one you're going to see at 3 ounces. Notice a little motor and all that. The ParkZone electronics are right here on the bottom to keep them out of sight. You can see the radio here, the battery, and then the connections to the tail surfaces right here. E-Flight Radian, just a wonderful flyer here. The ParkZone electronics are in there with the motor. This 3-channel thing, buy one, they fly great. Videos on the channel. Another example of a ParkZone, this is a foam glider bought at the Michael's Craft Store for $2.49. You can see the installation of the 2-channel system for rudder and elevator. than the motor here for pretty interesting radio control flight. So now we're going to do a little pre-flight of the Lancer. This is a model that I converted a few years ago. We'll go over my thoughts when I converted this. We'll watch it operate, then we'll take it for a test flight out back in the parking lot. Again, this is a good candidate for RC flight. It's a long wingspan, very lightweight construction. Everything was built according to the plans. Some changes I made was 1/16 inch balsa on the nose section just to have it stronger for the landing gear and motor. I think that's pretty much standard. I left the nose open just to keep an eye on the motor installation. Again, lightweight. These lightweight electric motors can be glued in with a little bit of plywood mounting. The landing gear is installed right here on a plate. Again, it doesn't have to carry too much weight, lightweight plastic wheels. Notice the Lancer is fairly narrow, and so when you take the electronics, they won't fit in. So what I did was I mounted the electronics on the fuselage side. That worked out fine. This was a good design approach, but notice that the control rod connections are way inside, so you have to connect the control rods before you put on the other side. The battery is here, the Velcro for the battery is here. This model is unusual with a long nose, the tail. The center of gravity is literally back here. I've never seen anything quite like that with a model. No matter, that's the way it flies. Add a little dime here to make sure that it balances correctly at that center of gravity, absolutely critical. Dowels in place front and back with a little bit of plywood reinforcing for the wing hold down rubber bands. Of course, for the tail surfaces, you'll have to cut the horizontal stabilizer and vertical assemblies halfway back to build an elevator and rudder. Though they aren't on the plans because it's a free flight design. Not hard to do, tape hinges, and then the control rod connections here. So that's essentially a snapshot of what was going through my head when I decided to convert the Lancer to radio control flight. Okay, so now we're going to take the battery and plug it into the Lancer. One technique I found with these ParkZone ultra micro systems in your transmitter, it's always a good idea to turn on the transmitter with a selected model, so when you plug in the battery, it's looking for that transmitter signal. It just seems to work better with these models. So we'll go ahead and connect the battery. I'll just leave it outside for now. We have a steady light on the transmitter, and taking a look at the tail, we have up elevator, down, left, right, and the throttle. So thank you for joining me in this video. Good luck with any conversions of Guillows kits that you do on your own. It can be done. Keep it light, lightweight plastic coverings, keep it light, and for the third time, keep it light. The ParkZone electronics are the key to everything. Under 3 ounces, it'll fly fine. 2 ounces will fly even better. And start with something that is probably positioned for success, one of these free flight models, before you start doing your P-51 and Sopwith pups. Good luck.